If our lives are set up before we're born to help with our spiritual evolution, then autism is not a problem or a punishment. It's a very specific path. In this video, we're going to look at autism from a soul level lens to see that it's not a problem that needs to be fixed, but rather is a very intentional way that one can experience life on Earth. Whether you're autistic or you love someone who is, or you're just curious about how this whole reincarnation thing actually works, we're going to explore some of the many reasons that a soul may have an autistic lifetime and what these souls are bringing onto planet Earth at this time specifically. So a quick note before we dive in, I myself am not autistic. I'm going to do my best to serve this topic with sensitivity, but I realize I may misstep. One thing to say is this is not to negate any real struggles or to say that anybody deserves or planned suffering, but rather just to bring some appreciation and understanding for those experiencing autism in this life. So take what serves and leave the rest. Today, I'm going to be sharing the 4 soul level reasons for an autistic incarnation and why we're seeing so many more on the planet right now. Okay, so the first reason why an autistic lifetime might be experienced by somebody, and that is, this is your first time on Earth. This does not mean you are a new soul. Rather, you're probably an advanced soul on another planet and chose to come to this planet because we got a lot of bodies to go around, and this planet, because of how hard and challenging it is, provides us a lot of opportunity for spiritual growth. So an autistic person may have chosen to come to Earth. They may be from a planet where telepathic communication, not verbal communication, is the norm, and potentially is one that doesn't have the complicated emotional dramas and relationship dynamics that we have on Earth. So by coming into an autistic body, it gives the soul new to Earth a chance to feel out what it is like to be in a human being. This can explain why the physical environment can be such a challenge. Perhaps the planet that they're from, and I know we're talking about other planets here, but the planet that they're from might be less physical, it might be not so noisy, it could be just different energetics. And so because of that, being on this planet can feel a bit jarring. So if you ever feel like you landed on the wrong planet, that actually might be the reason why you or someone you know is experiencing an autistic lifetime. So the second reason why an autistic lifetime might be happening is through learning through contrast. This is a huge way that we learn our life lessons, is through the lack of something. So, for example, let's say you want to learn about love. Well, perhaps you go through a lifetime where you don't have a lot of love. Or perhaps you want to learn about using your voice or how important communication is. You might go through a lifetime where you don't have access to communication so that you can deeply understand the importance of it and get kind of a masterclass on the criticalness of communication through the absence of it. So as we look at the autistic experience, it can be different based off of the level of functioning of the autistic person and what their unique individual experiences are. So it could be about social dynamics. If social dynamics seem to be the thing that is the most challenging, understanding why people behave the way they do, why people communicate indirectly, passive aggressively, etc., and not clearly, it could be that this is a life that the person has the opportunity to learn more about the importance of how we interact and how relationships work. Another lesson in contrast, depending on the person, could be about emotional expression and empathy. Again, because this is something that might be in various degrees of a challenge for this individual, it gives them a chance to really pull it into focus to understand how emotions work, how empathy works. And by not having it or having it be something that is a challenge to them, they put a lot more focus and attention into it and therefore learn more deeply about it. And And of course, one that we see in a lot of different varieties, which is self-acceptance and worthiness. When you incarnate into a person that has a lot of judgment placed on you, is often the outsider, is excluded, you then are in that situation where you don't feel accepted by other people. And it's your chance to go through and learn, how can I really accept myself? How can I give myself what I'm not getting from the exterior world? So these are not deficits or flaws. These are conditions that create powerful growth. There is nothing the matter with it, even though it may be horribly uncomfortable and you wish you didn't have to deal with this. It is still something that can propel tremendous growth and evolution. And reason number 3, and the reason why we're seeing so many more autistic individuals at this time in our planet's evolution, is because they are serving as teachers and paradigm shifters. As we as a planet are leveling up to a new stage of consciousness, autistic individuals are helping with that shift. So I know they're talking about like a new level of consciousness on the planet might not be your thing. But when you think about it, just in a more scientific or sociological perspective, up until now where we've had very rigid structures where people are put into very specific boxes and there's very specific expectations that we have on people and how they function. Autistic people coming in are shaking things up and saying, hey, 1 in 36 of us are autistic. The game needs to change. We need to be building structures not based off what is comfortable for the power that be, but that actually fits human beings and our individual and unique needs. We're also learning so much more about communication through autistic people and how communication can look differently, that it doesn't have to be one particular way, and also the way of being in the world, the way how intelligence can look, how we show up differently can be beautiful in its diversity and differentness. I mean, even me personally, when I was a child growing up in the 80s, the way that autistic children were perceived was in a very negative light, in a very much, we need to get them to be more like the neurotypical children. But as I've gone through my life and experienced a lot of neurodiverse individuals in a variety of different directions, on a variety of different intensities, I have seen that this can actually be a superpower. It may not look like what we've been held to be as the ideal in the past, but now as we really look at what each individual brings to the table, we see how powerful different ways of being can indeed be. So we learn about the geniusness of hyper-focus on a particular subject matter. We learn about intentionality around communication and how important it is to be direct and mean what it is that you say. And we learn to be more energetically sensitive to the world around us and how the environment that we're in can have different impacts on all types of people. So these aren't deficits to be managed necessarily, but they are opportunities to disrupt the way things have historically been and see how we can reshape how we are as a humanity to really utilize these powers, these new ways of being, these new needs to create a better world for everybody that lives within it. And reason number 4 that autism might be happening within a family, and that is around soul contracts and karmic balancing, particularly with individuals that need a higher level of care or support. There could be an agreement with individuals within a family or the family collective as a whole to help people learn specific lessons. So it could be lessons around patience and understanding and sensitivity, could be around releasing that perfect child perfection, sort of a concept that gets passed down through generations. It could be around unconditional love, right? And accepting people for being exactly who they are and not what we expect them to be. And it can also propel certain families into advocacy or inclusion work, and so that they're actually carrying on a mission to help others. So let's look at an example of how this might work. Let's look at a family that for generations has had this value around being perfect or looking perfect or things being acceptable to society. It's all about controlling the image. And then the autistic person comes in as a disruptor to that family lineage story. So they stop that story around fake perfection because they can't be fake. They are all about being authentic and real with their experience. They can't pretend for appearances. So they come in as the medicine for this family to heal this obsession around being or looking perfect, or that surface level acceptance. And this is not a punishment. This is not we did something wrong in our past lives, so we have to go through these challenging experiences. This is about healing, evolution, disrupting things that no longer serve us, and starting to create and build a new way of working through the world. So whatever the reason is, of those 4 reasons that a person might be experiencing autism, and maybe all 4, it could be a mix and match, if you will. The important thing to remember is this is not random. This is not a problem that needs to be eliminated, but rather it's about looking at what is the gift here. What is the opportunity here? What is the beauty in this experience? So it's when we stop fighting it and start embracing it that we get into alignment with what the opportunity and the gift is, and where we can start then to unpack ease and joy in this experience, as challenging as it can be. Let's not make light of that. Life can be very challenging, and this certainly can be a very challenging experience for individuals or for families, depending on, how things show up. So if you are an autistic person, I want to say thank you. Thank you for being born into the body and the brain that you are in, because you're helping to move us forward. Thank you for going through the challenges and the struggles that you're going through and finding the beauty and the joy and the power in it. You are not broken. How you are, the way you perceive things, and the way you show up in the world is what we need in the planet right now. And to the parents and caregivers and friends of autistic individuals, I also want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for also going on this journey, and for the care and the love and the intention and advocacy you've put in. It isn't always an easy path, but it's an important one. So this is the chance to look at these individuals as wise souls that are on an important path, and that we are helping to serve a role in their story and what they are becoming and helping us to become. And if this is a situation where you're a caregiver for somebody who is autistic, this could be a karmic balancing at play. It could be that this individual took care of you in a previous life. So that's part of the story about what's happening right now, is that you're returning the favor. You're creating a balance for something that may have existed in a previous life. So if karmic relationships or contracts kind of spark something, if you think there is some sort of a dynamic going on here where there's a debt that's being paid, for example, you'll want to watch my karmic relationships video, where I talk about the contracts that we have in our relationships in this life that are planned out before we're born, or where we're rebalancing things that have happened in the past. So you can check that out here, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.